Hi, I'm Femi Okay.
And I'm Malika Bilal, and you're in the stream.
Today, we're focusing on the Syrian city of Aleppo. It was once the country's grand commercial capital. It now lies in ruins, besieged from all sides. Haunting images of bloodshed and destruction following attacks on hospitals and mosques have captured the world's attention.
The recent escalation of violence, including new strikes on Monday, have all but destroyed a wider ceasefire. Monitor groups say hundreds have been killed in the past week, including more than 40 children, and some are calling the city a humanitarian disaster.
Top diplomats are scrambling for a solution to end the violence in Aleppo. The consequences for civilians in Syria have been devastating. A recent People and Power film investigated what happens when the bombs fall. Have a look at these civilians who carry out rescue missions.
The residents are shouting for a man called Ibrahim, whose house took a direct hit. Incredibly, he and his family emerge unharmed. But there have been multiple impacts in this district. The team runs to the next blast site. The people in this street weren't so lucky.
So we'll find out more from those rescue workers, or white helmets as they're known in our programme. We'll also find out from our guests what it's like to work in a city that's being bombarded.
And we'll hear from you, our community, and with your help, we'll tap into some of the big social media movements raising awareness around Syria.
From Rahanli, Turkey, Dr. Hamza Al-Khatib is the manager of the Al-Quds hospital that has been hit by many airstrikes. In Beirut, Lebanon, Bissan Fakih is a senior campaigner at the Syria Campaign. In Amman, Jordan, Sam Taylor is Syria Communications Coordinator of Médecins Sans Frontières, or Doctors Without Borders. They support the Al-Quds hospital in Aleppo. And in Copenhagen, Denmark, Nagieb Khaja is a journalist and filmmaker whose work you just saw there in the clip. So it is good to have you here, everybody, unfortunately under really tragic circumstances. Dr. Hamza, your hospital that you manage, the Al-Quds hospital, how many times has it been hit by an airstrike?
It has been hit over the past 4 years 5 times. 3 direct hits that made the hospital went out of service for many weeks, and 2 close hits.
Isn't there a protocol where you tell forces who are fighting in the area, this is a hospital, there are kids here, there are patients here, don't hit this hospital, there are no rebels here, no fighters, we're just trying to keep people safe here. Is there not a protocol for that?
Actually, in normal cases, usually there is a protocol like that. But in the Syrian situation, exactly, with the regime like al-Assad regime, there is only one rule: hit the schools, hit the hospitals, and hit the public markets.
Goodness me. So the last time you saw your hospital, what did it look like? It was hit on April 27, and I rushed down to Aleppo on 28. It was complete destruction. It was a disaster. Blood everywhere. The ER room was in a huge mess. Very, very destruction. The laboratory was destroyed completely. The pediatric ICU was also destroyed. Right.
The problem is not seeing the hospital at this destruction. It was not seeing the people that we used to see. As you see now, there are on the video there are two men. One is Dr. Mohammed Wasim Maaz that has been dead, and the first one, the one with black, is a worker in the hospital. His femur has a fracture.
Sure.
And we had to do an operation for him.
Dr. Hamza, I'm showing...
The main problem was not seeing those people.
Dr. Hamza, I'm showing some video right now. It's courtesy of Channel 4 News, and they show basically the security camera and what happened when the last blast actually happened at the hospital. How do you prepare for something like this happening in your hospital? Do you have a drill now? You said it's been hit 5 times. How do you get ready?
Actually, we do two things. First one, after the fourth strike, we do some walls and some bags with sand inside of them to protect the hospital of the pressure, and that thing helped the hospital not to be completely destroyed. And also we put those cameras. We don't have them before that. And the administrative of the hospital, when we spoke about the cameras, we said it might be hidden at any time. So we need to capture those moments of the crime, because we know that the regime will deny that the hospital was hit or targeted.
You know, Dr. Hamza, people are hearing your story and they're sharing their thoughts on it. This is Nafizi. He says, if doctors, nurses, and other health workers are not safe in Aleppo, then who else will be safe? So on the back of that, we actually are speaking to people in Aleppo. It has been difficult, but we spoke to one person. He's a photojournalist there. His name is Malik. He sent us a video of what life has been like for him and for other residents over the past few weeks. Nagieb, I want you to have a look at what he sent us. So Nagieb, you see what he said there. Yeah. You were in Aleppo in December. What is it like? How is it possible to operate under conditions like that?
It is really difficult to operate in Aleppo. It's really difficult to have, to have a normal life, to carry on with everyday things. But people, they try to ignore that the war is happening. And you have some periods with, the random bombings, which you can call it. And then you have, the periods where the bombings, they escalate. And we've had, a very, very extreme situation for the past many months after the Russians, they intervened. Because one thing is, of course, the government forces who have been bombing Aleppo indiscriminately for years. But with the Russians also intervening, it just got more extreme, even though nobody thought that it would get worse. And especially, the indiscriminate bombings with the so-called barrel bombs, besides the Russian bombings, the so-called barrel bombs, it's barrels filled with shrapnel and TNT, and they're thrown out randomly on Aleppo, on neighborhoods, civilian neighborhoods, with a lot of people, and they kill a lot of people. They damage a lot of the neighborhoods, and Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, they've called it, one of the biggest crimes being ongoing in this war.
Sam, there's a point where Doctors Without Borders in a conflict, they actually just pull back. Like, this is too dangerous. We can't be here anymore. When did you reach that point in Aleppo? Have you reached that point in Aleppo?
Yeah, quite a while ago, unfortunately, and it's only due to the hard work and dedication of people like Dr. Hamza and his Syrian colleagues that medical care is still available at all there. I mean, the reality is for Doctors Without Borders is that we're unable to work in many parts of Syria. So what we try and do is support the medical teams, and that's the key part of the work that we do inside Syria, teams like Dr. Hamza's. But we have 6 facilities inside Syria in the northeast and the northwest. But we know it's a tiny band-aid on what the needs are. And as I said, it's people like Dr. Hamza in Aleppo, in Homs, in Hama, in many of these besieged areas who, despite these horrific conditions, they continue to stay and they continue to work.
Right.
And it's only through their work that the healthcare is provided. It's astonishing that they do stay.
I'm glad that you said that, because we got this tweet from Iwaro. He says, in moments when it gets really tough, as I assume it does sometimes, what is your motivation for going on? Dr. Hamza, what keeps you going back into Syria when you have relative safety in Turkey?
Actually, two main things. First of all, as a doctor and seeing what's happening to my people in Syria, So I'll do my best to serve them and treat them. The most important thing that I'm not going to say all the doctors in Syria. Most of the doctors of Syria has taken part in a demonstration against the regime in 2011. So after 5 years and after all those numbers that has been killed and all the destruction that has happened to the country, it won't be fair at all to leave our country that easy. So it's our country and we'll stay in it. Besides the humanitarian situation that make us rush without thoughts, without thinking into a city like Aleppo to serve the people.
One of the things, Bissan, that I noticed was looking at the residents of Aleppo is how resourceful they are and how they're doing things for themselves. Médecins Sans Frontières, they left ages ago. They're still supporting as much as they can, but they're not there. It's the citizens of Aleppo who are doing incredible work. Can you share some of that with us?
Sure. I mean, let me tell you about the White Helmets, for example. They're ordinary tailors, bakers, carpenters, and they've come together as volunteers in order to dig people out from under the rubble. And across Syria, they've saved over 50,000 lives. And because they've saved so many lives, they're actually targeted right now. The White Helmets, they have a 4% fatality rate. But still, they go out every single day, they put on their uniforms, and they go and save lives, even when their colleagues have been targeted the day before. There's incredible stories of heroism like that from across Syria, and that's what keeps the country going.
Let me show you a little bit from a People and Power documentary. It's the one that Nagieb actually did last year, and some of the images are absolutely remarkable. I want to give you just a little sense of what is it like to live in Aleppo right now. Have a look.
هذا هو الوضعنا بمدينة حلب. هذا بحلب. هذا قصف الطيران الروسي، مو النظام الروسي، مو الأسد. هذا هون كانوا مجموعين عائلتين، أخوة عائلتين مجموعين في البيت. عندهم بقى فرح على حسب ما فهمنا من أهالي. هذا البيت، هي الغرفة هون جوا، وكان هون في أطفال. طلعنا 4 أطفال هون. ضربوا، جا ضرب البناية الثانية، طب هون وفجر. وهي أطفال السوريين طلع ما شاء الله. يا هلا الحياة نبضة يعني. يا هلا الحياة نبضة معهم، يعني بيركين رغم الدمار بيركين.
Nagieb, I'm just trying to imagine what it must be like to basic things. Go shopping, go to mosque on Friday, call to prayer. These are just eat lunch on your roof. Basic, ordinary, everyday things. They have been impacted. Tell us how.
Yeah, people, they try to crack on, but of course, they pretend that the war is not happening. But suddenly, a bomb hit a neighborhood very close to them, or at worst, they get hit and they get killed, or they get wounded, or their neighbors, they get hurt. So it's like, you have a lot of remarkable people in this city. For example, this guy ABDALRHMAN, he's a nurse, and he works with a hospital called Mustashfa Bayan. And there are a lot of heroic people working there in this hospital. It's actually people who are going out and helping wounded people every day. And despite of that, they take their breaks. They go out, they have an ice cream. They go out, they have a sandwich. They kind of, you can't say they got used to it, but they kind of adapted to a very extreme situation. And this is the adults that I'm talking about. You still have a lot of kids in Aleppo, and of course, they're all being traumatized. I'm an experienced war correspondent. I've been in a lot of places in a hectic environments, and I get stressed when I'm in Aleppo. I get scared, So it's really difficult to imagine what the people there are going through. But despite of that, you could say that you can say that the people in Aleppo, they're like 2 different groups. You have the weak ones, the ill ones, who's not leaving because they can't, and then you have all the idealistic ones who's staying in Aleppo because they want to create an alternative to the Assad regime.
Dr. Hamza, I see you nodding there. Are you scared when you're in Aleppo?
course not. I won't be normal if I'm not afraid or scared. But as Mr. Nagieb has said, there is a lot of people in the fourth group who are willing and trying to make a change in this situation. That's what we are there doing, and I'm with him about how people are living their lives. When it passed midnight, we feel like we won the round, and we are still alive for another day. Yeah, for us, we won this round with the al-Assad regime, and we are still alive. So let's see the other day how will be the round and who will win. That's the situation each day.
You know, you're not the only one. There's someone in our community who sent us a video comment from Aleppo. His name is Abdullah, and he talks about his fears and what he's scared of. Have a listen.
في حلب يتخلق خوف كبير وصعوبات كثيرة من استهداف الطيران الأسدي الغاشم، مما يجعل من كل مواطن في مدينة حلب اهتمامه الأول لعائلته. عند استهداف الطيران الغاشم الأسدي لهذه الأحياء، نطلب من جميع المدنيين النزول للطوابق السفلية وتخفيف التجمعات بالأسواق والجوامع. وجميع المناطق في مدينة حلب لا يكثر ولا تقل عن أخرى في دمارها الكبير. جميع أحياء حلب هي شبه مدمرة كاملة.
So Bissan, he talked about organizing people to go to lower floors and stay away from large gathering areas. What do volunteers do to protect themselves, to stay safe?
I think, to be honest, there's very little that they can do to protect themselves. I mean, they have their basic safety measures, but I think that they're resigned to the fact that they feel like this is their duty and that's what they have to do. And if that's their duty, I think we have to think about what our duty is. As an international community, we have failed people in Aleppo miserably. We have done nothing to stop the bombs. The Obama administration, the Russians, they've allowed a ceasefire to fail. Our calls for a no-fly zone have gone unanswered. I think we really need to pressure the international community to do more to protect doctors, to protect rescue workers, to keep civilians from dying.
I want to show you something which is back here on my laptop. It's from an interactive story that Al Jazeera put out quite recently. So this is Aleppo in 2010. I'm just going to show you. Look at it very carefully. Come right up close to your screen and then see what happens. See what's happened in 4 years. Remember, this is 2014 that you're seeing being revealed here. And now we're in 2016. You can imagine how much worse it is. So our online community is looking at this situation, Malika, and saying what?
Well, this is a tweet we just got from Omar. He says, yesterday, I asked my school teacher friend in Aleppo, how are things? And his reply, it's apocalypse, brother. And so, of course, you have people who are outside of Aleppo and outside of Syria, like Omar, who are wondering what they can do. So our team here at the stream, we've been following the social media conversation around this and around what's happening in Aleppo. And one of the big hashtags circulating is Make Facebook Red. Got thousands of people pledging to deactivate their Facebook accounts or turn their profile pictures red. You see even people in Syria are asking for it, as this picture shows. They're saying the campaign may stimulate the world's leaders' consciences. Some admit that this is what helplessness really looks like. The most you can do is deactivate your Facebook account. And then you have those who are saying they don't even see the use of that. This is Danny. He writes on Facebook, after participating in 1 million campaigns for peace in Syria, I honestly don't see the point. The only thing you can do is read stories of those who died and mourn them. Sam, when you see that and you see this reaction and hopelessness, really, what do you tell people that they should be doing?
I tell people to support the organizations that continue to work inside Syria, not MSF specifically, but as Bissan mentioned, the White Helmets, the Syrian American Medical Society, these organizations that continue to put people on the ground in the places where it's needed most, and for people to support hospitals like Dr. Hamza's. We do what we can. We recognize that it's very little, but there are glimmers of hope just because people do continue to do this work. I mean, you know, it's the 6th year of this conflict. I've been looking at this conflict through a microscope for 2 years. It's utterly depressing, but what makes it slightly less depressing are people like Dr. Hamza and those people who continue to do their amazing work.
Bissan, when you see people campaigning and after a story, and usually a horrific story hits the news, and then everybody's really upset for about 10 days, and then some other story takes over, how do you stop? How do you capitalize on the fact that everybody is watching right now?
I think we need to mobilize. I think the message and what I do like about the Facebook campaign is that it shows that there's people caught in between Assad and ISIS. Almost every story we're seeing about Syria is about ISIS, but there's nothing much about the people caught in the middle. There needs to be public consciousness. There needs to be people aware about what's happening in Syria and understanding that they can do something about it. The failure that's happening right now, this is a proxy war. This is a world war. The Americans are involved. The Russians are involved. The Gulf countries are involved. They can stop this. They can stop this. And that's why we need to mobilize. There's no such thing as we can't do anything. We have a responsibility to do something.
So, Dr. Hamza, I'm looking at people protesting and supporting what's happening in Aleppo. As a doctor, are you just focusing on your hospital, how to manage your hospital, how to get it through, you know, the 5th airstrike that's happened in as many years? What's your focus? Where are you most concerned?
Two things actually. First of all, the patients. How can we give them the most advantage medical service in these circumstances, and how we can serve as many people as we can. Because now inside of Aleppo city, at the moment, as we're speaking, there are only 8 hospitals serving about 300,000 to 350,000 people, and that's a huge number for these 8 hospitals to take. As we speak about the Syrian situation, we only focused about trauma cases, the emergency, the surgical cases, but children there also get sick, elders also. We have internal medicine disease, we have cardiology diseases, we have nephrology, neurology. Those civilians in Aleppo are human beings and they get sick. But we always focus about the trauma, the surgical, how many injuries. But there is also children, there is women, oncology. So 8 hospitals with about amount of 25 doctors to 30 doctors at the same time inside of Aleppo city, serving 300,000 people. We have to think about so many different ways to serve as many patients as we can. The other thing that consider about the future of my country, the future of the revolution, where as many people say that you're doing nothing and it's like the world big country's decision. We're trying to do something, and everyone from his part, he tried to do as much as he can to serve the people inside of Syria, to serve to against the al-Assad regime. We're not feeling optimistic about the what will happen in the next years, because each year when you show the picture about 2014, I said to myself, "Wow, those old days, the explosive barrels, it was heaven."
Okay.
Comparing to what we are facing at the moment.
Goodness me, Dr. Hamza, I'm going to take you to our post show. Bissan, Sam, and Nagieb, I'm taking you as well. Just have a quick look here on my laptop. This is People and Power, Syria under Russia's fist. It's actually looking at the consequences of civilians under the airstrikes in Syria. I highly recommend you watch it. It will give you some context to what's happening right now. Thank you very much for watching this edition of The Stream. We'll see you, hopefully, online. Take care, everybody.